So that was interesting.
He's coming for you, Diana, and your daughter.
Welcome to the Dave Cave. I, as always, am Dave. Now, before we get started, stay on top of all things horror and a little bit of heroes, like reviews, rants, rankings, and reactions. Hit that subscribe and ding the bell so you don't miss a minute. Today we are talking the last movie in the Friday the 13th franchise that I had not seen prior to doing this review series, and coincidentally, that is Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. Jason Goes to Hell was directed by Adam Marcus, stars Kari or Carrie Keegan, I couldn't really figure out which that is, as Jessica, and then when he's in his own body, Jason is played, yet again, by Kane Hodder. Set randomly after the events of the last date, they really don't say, they give you a little bit of a measure of where they're at, but just know that's after the last date. Picks up with Jason being lured into a trap and completely obliterated, blown apart, shot to shit, boom, he's dead. But because his heart wasn't destroyed, he's able to carry on, try to find a new body, a new Voorhees. Yeah, it's fucky. Now, a quick little disclaimer, with the very loose affiliation that this movie had to the rest of the series, for me, Jason Goes to Hell felt more like an adapted fan fiction than a legit entry in the Friday the 13th franchise. And it's because of that vibe that I got pretty much right off the get-go. I was able to enjoy this movie a fair amount. Yeah, so let's get right into the good. For my first entry in the good column, it's the intro. The first two sequences. The scene where Jason is lured into the trap, I loved all of that. Right from the get-go, the atmosphere felt like Friday the 13th. You didn't know really what was going on. You knew that this woman seemed to be going back to Crystal Lake and that she was just being this lonely little victim. But then the plot twists and Jason is lured into a trap and gets completely blown to shit. I love that. If you've seen other stuff I've talked about, I like the idea of turning the tables on the bad guy and the bad guy becoming the hunted, the bad guy becoming fucked up, and the good guys going after them. I dug the hell out of that. Jason looked insane, the suspense was awesome, the music was good, even the little door slam shut, that shook me. I was so happy in the intro of this movie. So you have Jason get obliterated, and they show the little stuff with the heart, and you see Creighton Duke. You don't know who Creighton Duke is yet, but you see the stuff with the heart, and then the body gets shipped to the morgue. You have the autopsy scene weaved into the opening credits. I dug the hell out of that. It was very cool to have this whole, let's talk about Jason just as like a piece of meat kind of thing, because you've never seen that before. You had a solid soundtrack playing over what's being talked about Jason, and then you also have really, really cool, gnarly kind of effects for the Jason corpse. When he's putting the pieces up on the table and moving them around and you're seeing them and they're the chunks and they're juicy and they're funky, they were awesome. I loved the attention to detail on that. You see a hip socket. I loved it. I loved the hell out of that scene. Again, it felt like fan fiction. It felt like something that would be in a fan fiction story. And I was eating it up every minute of it. And yes, that scene ends all kinds of crazy. Eating a heart, killing the other coroner, killing the other guys. We get to see Kane Hodder out of the makeup. But that scene, those two scenes put together, pulled me right into this movie. I was in. For my second entry in the good column, it's the atmosphere and kind of the pacing of the movie, despite all the crazy shit going on. Because yes, there's a lot of crazy shit that goes on in this movie. With all that crazy shit going on, it felt like a Friday the 13th movie. You had a lot of the return of stalking POV Jason, which you didn't get a lot in the last couple ones because they wanted you to see him. It was all about seeing Jason, but really in this one, he's not Jason for most of it. But then you have these Jasons stalking throughout the movie. I dug that. Like with the intro, the music again was on point through the whole movie. Really set a good tone for me. It helped with the environment. Then also you have the addition of some pretty solid locations. More specifically with the locations was the inclusion of the Voorhees house. I dug that. It was a chance to take. They took it, and for me, it paid off. This was a very easy movie for me to get into and stay into. Really the duration of it. My last entry in the good column might be a surprise, but actually, it's Jason. All of Jason. Whether it's all messed up Kane Hodder Jason, or the other iterations of Jason through the movie. From the moment that the coroner ate the heart, I thought this is going to be dumb. I thought that it was just going to completely take me out of it. But really, you have Richard Gant. He plays the first coroner that he eats the heart. He sets everything back in motion. I've only known him from Rocky V as George Washington Duke, so seeing him in this was pretty gnarly. But when he gets to being actually Jason, he plays a pretty solid Jason. He has some pretty awesome kills. And he's a big dude. He's a big, lumbering dude. When he's moving around as Jason, I bought it. I bought that he was Jason. Again, if you believe in the world that they're trying to build, if you go with it, again, as a fan fiction kind of story, it works. Having Jason be in these bodies and these bodies deteriorate and that he destroys them when he's done with them. I dug that, and that these bodies could kind of, to a degree, withstand some craziness that happens to him. Really, that's with Robert. Robert has some crazy shit happen to his body. I mean, Josh does too, but holy shit, Robert. I'm telling you, the intro to this movie and just the craziness that they set you up for allowed my brain to forgive a lot of the stuff that they threw at me in this movie. The Jasons were really a part of that. Before we move on, a quick little honorable mention in the good column. I knew it was coming. I didn't know exactly how it was going to be, but I knew that there was a Freddy tease. I dug the hell out of the Freddy tease. I liked it a lot. It's very simple. Grabs the mask, pull it under. And I can't imagine the collective brick that was shat back in 1993 when all these people went and saw Jason Goes to Hell. And Freddy's hand pops out of the dirt and grabs Jason's mask. I mean, it was a long time before we actually got Freddy vs. Jason from there. But that moment, I'm sure people lost their fucking minds. And I would have been one of them. Yes, this movie gave me a lot to dig. There's a lot that I liked about this movie. But this movie is definitely not without its flaws. So let's get into the section that I'm sure many people were thinking was going to be long. The bad. I really only have one entry in the bad column, but it's pretty all-encompassing. And that is the story and the mythos of the movie. Now, if you don't go into this movie having the mindset that I ended up having after, the first 10, 15 minutes of the movie, you're going to hate this movie because it doesn't make sense. It's bonkers as hell. It's reaching. It gives weird-ass reasons for Jason being immortal. It tries really hard to explain that. You go back, you give Jason an extended family, you make it about his heart, you have Jason throwing up into other people's mouths, and then you have that demon crawl up Diana. Yeah, but then you have this whole, he's an undead entity. I know that there's been talk that he actually is a deadite from Evil Dead in this movie, but that inclusion of that is insane. The concept of this movie is fucking bonkers. Not much makes sense in this movie if you try to link it to the other 8. If you try to link it to the other 8, it doesn't make sense. It's a shit movie. But if you look at it as if they tried to adapt a comic book or a fan fiction that someone put together, this actually really makes a lot of sense. As crazy as they got with the story, they got just as crazy with the mayhem. And with that, we're moving right into talking about the kills. Holy shit. There is some gruesome gnarliness in this movie. And really, you get an idea that it's going to be like that right from the get-go. When they blow the shit out of Jason, like I said before, I love the way his corpse looked. But the attention to detail in that, they could have phoned that in. They absolutely could have phoned in Jason's body and just have it be mannequin arm, mannequin leg, here's Jason's mask. They could have completely just glossed over that, but they didn't. And it was because of that I was like, oh, we're going to see some good shit. And we did. A lot of it. When it came time for Jason to do his work, that shit was just as juicy. Sometimes they're tame. Sometimes they're quick. Whatever. But other times, they are whoo. For example, sticking someone's head in a deep fryer and then punching his wife's mouth in. Like, whoo. Damn, man. Numerous times in this movie, the visuals on many different kills made me stop and go, ooh, like, oh, damn, and have to rewind and watch it again. Many kills I watched twice in this movie because they were so well done and so gruesome and so just, oh, carnage, fucking candy. Even some of the simple ones are incredibly brutal, like Josh's lady. I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his wife, but before Jason abducts him, gives him the shave and switches bodies with him, it's just, he walks up to her, closes the car door right into her neck. Just like, oh, damn, because you think it's going to be more maybe of like a Jason grab her, throw her around, but it's just quick, just close the door, snaps her neck. Holy shit, I love that. On top of the looks of the kills, when Jason goes from Josh's body into Robert's body, which, side note, holy shit, that fucking scene. He goes on a legit killing spree trying to get to Jess and her baby Stephanie. He kills so many people in that sequence. Between the diner and the police station, he's just killing people left, right, and center. It was beautiful. I mean, I understand that it was Robert, but I was buying into the Jason, so it worked for me. He was just going through, just kill, 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 kill. Simple kills. Not many of them were elaborate. Sometimes they were just a hit. But I dug that he was the Terminator, like I've mentioned before. He just goes through and fucks a whole bunch of people up in a very short span of time. Again, I loved it. Of all the carnage that goes down in Jason Goes to Hell, just like in the last two movies, I again knew the moment I saw it what was going to be my favorite kill in this movie. And my award for favorite kill of the movie goes to Deborah. First, it brings back the confused boner kill. I love those. This is really the only series that I can think of that does these this well. And this is probably the award for the best confused boner kill of the whole series. So you have the impale, and you think, ooh, that kind of sucks. And then he pulls up and splits her shit in half from sternum up through her clavicle. Holy fuck. That visual, the split, you see her boyfriend from Jason's POV. Oh, it was gnarly. I watched that probably 2-3 times. It was so just brutal and simple, but it's more than what you think it's going to be, because we've seen Jason stab people. We've seen Jason impale people. But he impales and then he rips up and we see everything. There's blood everywhere. It was awesome. That was definitely not the penetration that Deborah was looking for. Now for question of the day, we're bringing it back. What's your favorite kill in this movie? There are a lot of good contenders for what is the best. Which is your favorite and why? Hit the comments below. Let me know. Now it is time for my final thoughts on Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. As I said before, the entire time I was watching this movie, it did feel like I was watching glorified fan fiction. And it really felt like that's what they were going for. You give Jason an over-the-top look, you try to explain his immortality, you give him an extended family, you have a character like Creighton Duke who comes in, he's a good guy, he's a badass, but also has all kinds of backstory on Jason and maybe even a little bit of history with Jason, which they hint at but they don't go into it all. You also have the addition of his childhood home for the backdrop of the final confrontation, and to top it all off, you throw in Freddy Krueger. I've seen abandoned scripts before. I've read fan fiction. That's the type of shit that they take risks with in those things. Because they can. No one's going to make a movie out of that. Well, they fucking made a movie out of that. In a million years, back then, you wouldn't have thought that Freddy is going to be in a Jason movie. That's something that you would make up in a story. It'd be like having Chucky and Michael Myers in a movie together. You would never think it would happen until, Chucky puts on the Michael Myers mask. You wouldn't think that that would happen. But all of that mixed together, that's exactly what it felt like. And because of that, I really dug it. I definitely am going to be watching this movie again in the future, and in no way, shape, or form is it at the bottom of my ranking for the series. So if you have watched this movie before, chances are you probably don't like it. But if you haven't watched this movie before and you're thinking about watching it, go into it thinking that it's fan fiction. Don't think that it's trying to be any part of the continuity, because it's really not. Think of it as if a what-if story. What if Jason had a sister? What if his heart needed to be destroyed? What if Freddy Krueger was part of this? Go into it with that, and you'll have a much better time with that, I promise. I mentioned towards the beginning of this video that this review officially marks the fact that I have finally seen all of the Friday the 13th movies. I've already seen Jason X, and I've already seen the remake, but I haven't reviewed those yet. The reviews are coming. I can imagine, after seeing what I think of Jason Goes to Hell, it's going to be pretty curious to see what I think of Jason X. The review for that is coming on Tuesday, so be on the lookout. And if this is the first Friday the 13th review you're seeing of mine, I've done all the other ones, 1 through 8. Links to all those are in the description below, so go check those out. And while you're down there, I have links to my Instagram and Twitter. They're both at @TheDaveCave_. I post over there when I'm not posting here. And that is going to do it for me today. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by the Dave Cave. I'll see you all on Tuesday for Jason X. But until then, take care.